Apparently, Gisele Bündchen is really upset about the Tom Brady roast. I mean, there were some cheap shots about her, a lot of reference to her, and especially the set from Nikki Glacier, which actually I thought was really, really funny. Now, Tom Brady has reported that he would never do a Netflix again. Obviously, he was fine to do it when he first thought of it, but he didn't think that it would have this big of an impact on his family. Of course, Giselle's going to be sensitive about it. And by the way, I don't know why the kids would be watching the roast anyway. I don't know that Gisele knows what a roast is. And to be fair, she said that she's supportive of all of Tom's, endeavors. Now, this was a massive Netflix special, and you had some of the top comedians all coming together to roast Tom Brady.
Gisele said, you retire or we're done. When you got a chance to go 8 and 9 and all it will cost you is your wife and your kids, you gotta do what the you gotta do. Do you understand?
He got his opportunity to roast back. Now, there were some rules, understandably, about what they could and could not say. If you'll notice, there was very little reference to Tom Brady's kids, but there was a lot of shots thrown about Gisele. Particularly, again, Nikki's set was incredible. She hit all the right spots, saying, "Oh, Tom has 8 rings. Oops."
You have 7 rings. Well, 8 now that Gisele gave hers back, but
except the one that Gisele, sorry, you have to give one back. And then, of course, saying the biggest mistake he made was having her learn jujitsu. Because we all know or now discovered that Gisele's current boyfriend was her jujitsu trainer, and they had known each other during the time she and Tom Brady were married.
The only thing dumber than you saying yes to this roast was when you said, "Hey, babe, you should try jujitsu." That's gotta suck.
Now, Tom Brady said that it was fine. It was all fine, except that he really didn't consider the aftermath and what impact those jokes would have on the kids and his family. And that's the reason why he wouldn't do it again. Having said that, Nikki said that, how could you not know what a roast is? I'm sure you did your research. You wouldn't have agreed to do it if, knowing that there's nothing off limits. A roast is exactly that. It's a roast. And by the way, Gisele can be sensitive about it, but they were coming at those are the rules of the game. When you roast somebody, you are roasting everything about them. It's not just his professional career. They went after his career, his looks, his teammates, management, choices, his failures in the way that he quarterbacks, right? I mean, there was everything there to basically say it wasn't just about Gisele. Now, for Gisele, listening to that, it probably seems like it's all about her. In fact, any joke, it's not just Tom Brady is just getting roasted by himself. They're recently, separated. Their marriage, they were together for 13 years. So there probably is this sense of attachment still that, hey, if you're roasting Tom and you're roasting his marriage, then you're kind of roasting me. And because she didn't agree to it, she's part of it. And all of those jokes are impacting her. So the thing is, there's sensitivity around that, and I can empathize with it. But at the end of the day, these comedians, they know what a roast is. And Gisele can be upset about it, but really that's something for her to deal with, because she's not the one that was being roasted, although she did get roasted or was a source for roasting. Of course, what do you not think comedians are going to go after your failed marriage? You are the, star quarterback. Everyone's talking about how good looking he is, how famous he is, how fantastic he is, yet they're going to pick on the sore spots. So they're going to pick on the divorce, the marriage. They're going to pick on the fact that he lost $30 million in crypto, right? That he made those decisions. And that's something to be expected. Now, Tom, on reflection, loves his family. And because he didn't consider the aftermath, I think at the end of the day, he was fine with it. But the aftermath of seeing that it caused a lot of stress for Gisele, the number one thing when you do go through a divorce, you don't want to intentionally put fuel on the fire, right? You definitely do not want to cause new concerns or new issues in your marriage or your failed marriage or your co-parenting relationship, when the primary concern for both people as co-parents is on the kids. What I see from that is that he's really, what she's saying is that those jokes are impacting the children. Should the kids even be watching their dad's roast? I mean, that's a lot of adult.
Man who has so many rings he could melt them down and forge a sword to go on a quest to get Gisele back from that jujitsu teacher.
Information, right? There was a lot of adult content that maybe the kids don't really or shouldn't really participate in. A roast, this isn't the kind of like fun family special comedy. This is I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna embarrass the crap out of you, I am going to roast you. I mean, listening to some of the roasts, I'm like, damn, like, I don't know how people find pleasure in that. I know I would certainly never, ever, ever sign up for a roast, particularly knowing, that who knows what you're going to be attacked for, right? He agreed to it. I don't know whether he thought it was a good career move or whether he thought that it would be, he thought it would be fun. Roasts aren't fun, right? But you have to be a good sport. And what I have to give to Tom Brady is that you have to have thick skin. I was watching him intently and his reactions and which jokes really struck a chord and which jokes were kind of like, oh man, there were some looks on his face where I had the sense he was thinking, why did I ever sign up for this? During the interview on the red carpet on the way to the roast, he was saying he was still good spirits, all very light.
This is what a locker room's been like for me for all these years too, so it's not like I'm used to people not making fun of me.
At the end of the day, even post interviews, he was a good sport about it. That's what I'll say about him. He was a good sport about it. But he did make mention several times the distaste and the backlash from having agreed to be on the roast. Let's go through that. And now there were some, really icky and sort of like moments in the Tom Brady roast that were quite memorable. Number one, Kim Kardashian getting booed on the stage. There was a moment where he had to whisper into Jeff Ross' ear, like, no, not appropriate, don't go there, when he made a joke about Kraft. And then the other time where Gronk actually off-lib or ad-lib talked about his sisters, and Tom Brady literally got up and was like, no. So there were times within that roast that you could see maybe were a little too far of a stretch, but for the most part, Tom Brady was smiling. There were times he was pensive. He definitely was in his head thinking, I don't know about that. Mainly, really, really good sport.
Gisele, she that karate man.
I'm gonna be taking it for an hour and 20 minutes. So I think by the time I get up, I may be in tears.
However, Gisele wasn't having it, and she is not happy. In fact, every major news outlet has repeatedly quoted her saying that she deeply regrets or wishes that didn't happen. She feels hurt by the comedians. She's like, why would they say those things about me? I mean, it's very personal. She really took this as a personal attack. And Gisele, if you're listening, you have to know that that's part of a roast. And it isn't personal, it's comedy. The fact is, they're going after the jugular, okay? They're going for the heart, they're ripping it out, they're stomping on it, and then later on they're apologizing and they're drinking and they're doing shots at the bar. That's how a roast works. In order to participate in a roast, you either have to have thick skin, you gotta be able to know that you can come out alive. And, no roast, as far as I know, really cause major, or forever damage. In fact, the harder you go, the better it is. You are high-fived as a comedian for getting as dirty, as deep, and as personal as possible, because this is a free-for-all. You are allowed to say what you want to say. So for Gisele, listening to the potential, like an infidelity jab, or oh my God, those jujitsu lessons, how come you're a white belt after 8 lessons and 8 hours a day? Like, for her interpretation of that is probably like, oh, we were not doing the thing that we're supposed to be doing. Are you assuming that I was not doing jujitsu, when in fact she also is competitive and she actually did earn more than just a white belt? That being said, what do you guys think? Do you think that Gisele should be that sensitive? Do you feel like the roast went too far? I don't see any of the jokes really directed at the kids. However, there probably is an aftermath. And if the kids watched it and they're on mommy's side and they see that mom's upset about it, they're not going to be pleased. As for Tom Brady, I think you were a freaking sport. Your jokes were amazing. Nikki Glaser is the MVP. She rocks. She's killing it right now and everybody's loving her. So that's the scoop, guys. Don't go for a roast if you cannot handle the burn.